Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. I'm here with my good friend Lorna, who I call one of my greatest cheerleaders.
Hi, I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I strive to embrace and enjoy each new phase of life. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
Years ago, when I was a young mom, just starting out with little kids, I remember talking to a friend at the park, and she had something on her mind, and she said, "We just really need a meeting of the moms." And from that day, that phrase has stayed with me. And I've had this dream to create a space for people who've chosen to make their life's work motherhood be able to come together and just talk about what is ever on their mind, whether it's personal development or something with kids or something with the relationship with a spouse or a friend or whatever, but just a place to talk about all the things. And so one day, in a fit of vulnerability, I told Lorna about this dream. And her response was, "We have to do this." So now it's been over 10 years that Lorna and I have been meeting weekly to talk about whatever is on our minds. It's a little bit like a mastermind group that is known about today, but I had never even heard of a mastermind group the many years ago when we did this.
I remember hearing about masterminds from my husband, who's in the business world. He wanted to figure out how he could be in a mastermind group or create his own. And I remember going through things like that with him, but never having thought about it being something for me. And yes, this is exactly what you've created, Amy, this fun mastermind group of moms.
Well, thank you.
Wanting to be better and improve and learn and grow.
And thanks for being a cheerleader from the beginning and getting on board. And I don't think I've created it. I think we've created it. Wouldn't have worked with a person of one. So right now, we invite all of you to join us in Meeting of the Moms. And you're dropping right in the middle of everything we're doing. So as we share our episodes with you, you're going to notice that some seem to have been recorded just right now. They're going to be very current, and others have been recorded over the years. And so we'll drop in on those conversations when they seem like a good topic to bring up. We're also in the middle of a book study for Brene Brown, Gifts of Imperfection. So you're going to hear us referencing that book. What else do we have going on that we're just in the middle of that people can jump in on?
We're also doing general conference. We do talk about general conference pretty much weekly as well, just you and I privately. And so then that will come up from time to time a little bit as well. We're excited to have you here joining us for all these things.
And today it seems really appropriate to talk about times of transition, specifically that wonderful, wonderful time of year that is the beginning of the school year. I went to school to become a teacher. So I went from being in school to teaching school, had just the tiniest of breaks being within the school construct while I stayed home with my oldest child before he went to school, so like 4 years maybe, and then he was in school. So virtually my entire life, the school year has been something that structures my life. And at least for me, I love September as a time of new beginnings. I feel like there's so much like excitement and potential in the air. And I think part of it is because with school, we have all just had a break. Students have all had a break. They've all had a time to rest. And so often students come back with that air of anticipation, excitement that just kids are so good at having. And so then that is catching for me. So we're super excited to talk about times of transition and specifically what goes on when we go from summer to the school year, because it is.
Yes, it is. And I do love this time for setting new goals, new routines, because this is a natural beginning to me.
Yes.
More so than January. Sometimes I'll do things in January. A lot of times I'll still do things in January, but this is a bigger new beginning for me.
And it's just a time that's like life requires it of us. All of a sudden, my kids have extracurricular activities and I'm putting them on the calendar so that I know what's going on. Do I want to go to some? Do I not want to go to others if they're too far away or whatever? So I'm naturally kind of out of necessity, having to look at all of those things. So it makes it easier for me to be thinking about what I want to do. So one thing that I have done over the years, and I actually haven't done it this year yet, but we're doing it tonight, is I like to talk to each of my kids just kind of about what the structure is going to look like about when they come home from school, what they're going to be involved in. This year's interesting for me because I have a young adult at home, and then I have a junior in high school, and I have a seventh grader. And so my young adult, the conversation looks a lot like, okay, so like kind of what are your plans and what are the things that you're hoping to get from me or that you need from me because I'm not just available every second of the day. So let's make sure and plan times when we can connect or meet those needs or whatever. For my high schooler, it's kind of it's not quite that far, but I'm still just like, what are the plans? What have you got going on with your college classes? What's the homework? But with my seventh grader, it's very much still helping him know the routines that need to happen. And he's the one I'm going to talk to today about that now that we've been in school for about a week and a half. Do you have things like that for you, Lorna? I mean, you're kind of in a different phase than I am.
Yeah, I am in a little bit different phase. So my youngest is a junior in high school. And so and he is involved in sports. And so this season right now he's in golf. And so that's affecting his day after school. However, even aside, in addition to that, we are in a unique situation right now. Our high school has been under construction. They've been adding on to our high school and tore down some of our old high school, kept some of the high school building that has been added onto already in the past and they're adding more. Well, our school is not ready. So these first few weeks of school are online. So that has totally added a different kind of wrench to our school year, which is just fine. Like we're rolling with it, but it has been quite interesting where our routines are not the same though, even though the school year has started, right? Because he is doing this. And then he also is doing golf practice at different times. He has golf tournaments. And so we're still working on the routines of what it's looking like. My oldest daughter has been home for a couple of weeks and will be moving to BYU again tomorrow. So I'll move her there. And then our third daughter has just started at Utah State. We just moved her there maybe 2 weeks ago. So we're in this huge transition stage still. And so we're rolling with it right now. We haven't gotten too far into some routines and gotten things settled yet.
It's like the slow slide into what is going to be going on.
Yes.
And I think this is one thing that is a great point. At different times in my mothering journey, I have found myself just wanting things to be ready to go and set up. So on that first day of school, I like elementary school age kids came home and I had the new routine ready to talk to them about and that kind of thing. And for the most part, I'm glad that that's what I did when they were super young because it helped all of us when everything was fresh to just have the new start. But then there have been years where even if that was my desire, it didn't happen. And so we take a couple days or we take a week. And now as the kids are older, there are enough things going on that, my junior started some college classes, but they didn't start the first day of school. So he had like this free time, like the first week of school, that then like just last week, he started not having that free time because the classes started. And so what I found needful this year is that I've just had to take some time to see what is this going to look like and then create the routines that are going to be helpful. And even my seventh grader started doing a little bit of soccer this year in a more intense league than he's done in the past. And so that's time consuming. And I really think it's helpful to be able to talk to other parents who are in this time of year and just hear about some of the things that they're doing and how they maybe kind of roll with it, like you said. And don't necessarily always feel like you have to have everything figured out in the first couple of weeks of school, because I think sometimes we feel that way. Like if I do not harness the first few weeks, it's going to be a problem all year long. But I do think it's okay sometimes for us to go slowly into the year.
I totally agree. And even just during the school year, I feel like we're really good. Or actually, yeah, I could say we're really good. I feel like probably 95% of the school mornings last year, we would wake up and say family prayer and read a couple on the LDS. What's the app that
The Gospel Library, maybe?
Yeah, Gospel Library app. They'll have a scripture and a quote from a general authority. So we'd read those every morning and pray together. And then summer hits and we're not doing that again, right? And right now we're in that transition stage of my son doesn't actually have to wake up as early as he had been or he would be if it was a school year like he did last year, right? And so we're still at that point too where I want to get that rolling again, and maybe we're going to hold off for another week or two. And we've done it. We did do it a couple times, but it hasn't seemed as necessary yet. And we want to, of course, catch my husband before he goes to work. And so anyway, it's just that slow rolling out of what we want to do. There was one other thing I wanted to add before we got too far away from this, but you mentioned the first day of school and wanting to plan before the kids came home. And I remember feeling that way too. And really probably you get the credit that I was intentional about what I
Oh,
want after school to look like before after school happened, right? Before they got off to school. But one of the things too that I've realized is the first day of school is actually kind of hard for me as a mom because
mm,
I love my kids. I love them being around. I'm not saying we get along all the time. I'm not saying everything is perfect. But one of the things I really do struggle with is when they go back to school, we've had this flexible schedule and we've been able to be around each other, that is kind of hard. And so a lot of the times I have tried to plan a lunch on the first day of school with moms. Some might think it's a celebration of, yay, the kids are gone. But to me, it is like, let me be united with other moms that I appreciate as well, but doing
mhm.
something fun for this hard day. And so that's a fun thing. And even as I'm talking about it now, I'm like, I know I'm going to still need it when my son goes to real
Yep,
school, when they actually do
right.
open up school, that I'm going to want to create that because that's just a nice little kickoff, even though it's sad, but it's also good too.
Yeah. Well, and I love this because one of the things we talk about is that a feature of you is like with people, anything's a party. And so it makes sense that to have, your people gone for like this big structured part of the day as opposed to in and out. Like in the summer, somehow people are like in and out all the time. But your older kids are all now off doing their school thing, so they're gone for months now. And then your youngest is going to be gone all day. And so it's just a real shift in and just having that people part that's
Yes.
so fun for you. I love that you've created something that helps you with that little transition. Some moms I know struggle with that transition where, oh my gosh, the kids are going to be home. And that feels like really stressful. And so I think wherever we're at with these different transitions, just to recognize like these are big transitions for us. It is a big shift. It is a big change. And it happens like every year. Both shifts happen every year. And I think it's helpful to just know ourselves, get to know ourselves as individuals, as moms, and just see like, are we having a hard time with a particular time of year? And if we are, what can we do to kind of smooth that time rather than wallowing in it? That's always an option.
Yeah.
Whichever one's hard for us, right?
Totally right. And sometimes I am like, I might sit around and cry. Like, I might
Yeah,
have some of that, but really, and that's okay if I need that.
right.
That's totally fine. But I also want to reach out, and that feels
Yep.
good too. Right.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think I like the idea of feeling that missing without deciding to wallow in it and go to the depths of despair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
At least
Yep.
for me, I feel better when I intentionally can be like, this is how I'm feeling. I'm aware of it. And now I'm going to do some things about it. Not so much so I don't feel that way, but so that I don't let it overcome me, right?
Yes.
In a way
Yes.
that then I'm not
Absolutely.
really thrilled with. So,
And and I think not, yeah, not be like, no, I can't feel bad. I shouldn't feel
yep,
sad. This
yep,
should be okay. No, I can still feel sad. I don't have to live there. I
yep.
can be there for a bit and then move on. Yeah. So good.
So much of just not doing the should thing at all at this time
Yeah.
of year because as moms, like we're around all kinds of different personalities. And so I could see some moms being like, I'm talking to my friends and they're sad their kids are going to school and I am just really glad I need a break. And one could be like, why do I feel that way? Well, just because you do. Like we all have the different feelings. I would say in general for me, by the time summer comes, I am like ready for a break in all of the routine. And I just want the flexibility and I want us to be home and I'm excited for that. And generally by the time school starts, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for some structure. I love the rhythm of the school year. That's not always. There are years when I'm like, I'm not ready for summer, or are you kidding? Summer's over already. So I have the whole gamut, but I would say generally I just like that there are very definite times when we get to have a shift and a change because I need
Yeah.
freedom and I need structure. So it's nice to
Yep. And it's
have
built in.
both.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. It's just there. I think also as we talk about summer and just the flexibility of summer, one thing I learned years ago, and I wish I could remember the lady's name, but she talked about the fact that everything tends towards chaos. And that sometimes we think like order and having things, having our rhythms or having kind of how we do stuff, that's the natural order of things. And this idea that actually the natural order of things is chaos and that what we get to do in one of our creative works as human beings is that we get to bring some order to that chaos. For some people, that's going to look super, super structured. For some people, that's going to look much more go with the flow, but it's still some kind of sort of order to everything just being a big explosion. And I know that's one thing is I'm looking at school calendars right now and activity calendars, and I'm looking at when my one son runs cross country and when my other son is going to be playing soccer, and everything seems to be at least an hour and a half away from my small town, so travel time's involved. And I just get to decide, okay, which things will it work for me to go to? Well, I'm doing some things that are important for me. I still want to be able to be connecting with my husband, not be gone all the time in the evenings. I want to have some stuff where I can spend time with my young adult son. But I love that I just have that creative power. We all have that creative power to just bring together what's going to be meaningful and important to us for this next year and then create that.
Yeah, so good. And I love your idea. You said this earlier, but we can adjust too. I
Mhm.
feel like my son's in golf season, right? So when that wraps up, then that's also another natural time where we get to reevaluate and how we want to do things. But I could
Exactly.
also
Yep.
decide in a week after in school, like after official school starts, right? When they're in
Yep.
person, I can make some adjustments and we can make adjustments at any time.
Yep.
But it is fun to sometimes follow those already set adjustments that happen because of scheduling, because of seasons, whatever. And I
Right.
think that can be helpful.
Yeah. Gretchen Rubin calls them. Now I'm going to forget what she calls them. I'm a great fan of Gretchen Rubin. I don't think she calls them a fresh start, but she calls them something like that. And it's just one of the times when habit change is easier because things are changing anyway.
Yeah.
And yet we can't necessarily always create a fresh start kind of thing, but we habits or goals or routines or rhythms or whatever at any time.
The phrase by Gretchen Rubin that Amy was referring to is a clean slate. Our conversations tend to hit on a variety of topics. At this point in our chat, we go a little different direction. Check out the second part in episode 2.
Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Lorna Adams.
And I'm Amy Rasmussen. See you next week at Moms.